Hey everyone, I just wanted to talk about the way we learn new things because I think it's becoming relevant that many of us don't really know how to learn effectively, and in today's video, I want to make you understand why that is. Have you ever sat in a classroom, glanced at the clock, and wondered what you learned after those endless hours of your life? We all been there. Traditional education system makes us often wonder about the real-world practicality of the knowledge we acquire. It can be really frustrating to many people how much content we know little about from being in the classroom. One of the problems with being in a classroom is that most of us don't want to be there, and this tells our brains that we don't want to receive the information that the teacher is telling us. This disconnect leads us to be disassociated with information we are receiving, and because of that, we want to learn the information with less enthusiasm. In school, we are taught to only think through the median of standard testing, but this only teaches us to be good in having test-taking abilities. Schooling teaches us the fundamentals of discipline and to always be on time, and with this, there is no space for making errors. When we learn that the system punishes us for thinking outside the box, but the world craves this ability, it becomes clear something is flawed. Many students often wonder, when am I ever going to use this in the real world? I think that the education system is a way that induces discipline in an individual, and this is what is great about the system, is that we can have great influential people because of this key component of the traditional education system. Balancing the methods with the traditional education system and critical thinking is essential, but with most things, all things aren't perfect, and that is the way the method uses critical thinking to solve only one problem, while real-world problems use critical thinking to build off solving many problems. In the real world, we need practical skills that can adapt to a variety of different situations. I think it's really important to note that the way we question and use information is key in this modern day. Have you ever encountered challenges in sorting and prioritizing information for learning? How have you overcome them? Lots of information nowadays is becoming harder to tell what is real or fake. The way we sort information is critical because we can prioritize the process of learning by a step-by-step procedure that can get better with knowing the steps. In order to learn properly, we have to have enthusiasm in the areas we want to know more of, and this takes energy, effort, and time to thoroughly research a subject of your interest. If you're like me and procrastinate often because you don't value what you are doing, we have to understand the content of what we are learning through asking questions like, how did this happen and why did this happen? And from this, what is the result of this? Another thing to note is that the way we learn is also different from person to person, and some people learn better from seeking information from others, and some are really good at having methods of organizing information effectively. What's your learning style? Majority of people are visual learners because many things nowadays are on the internet and it takes a couple of seconds to Google whatever you want to learn about. When we see the information gets processed, and it's easier for us to know the results and progress is like when we visually see the information being displayed to us. Have you ever tried adapting your learning style to induce more visual elements, even if you're not a natural or visual learner? Like, what were the results? The shocking thing about seeing information is that we are able to understand complex topics by seeing the systematic process of how people got to the results. What always fascinates me about learning is that in a couple of months, we could go from knowing nothing to actually building projects and understanding more about the topic in more detail than we were currently able to do. What motivates you to embark on these intense journeys? Is it the particular goal, passion, or curiosity that drives you? We all have those moments where we want to learn more because we are pressured into doing so, or we generally want to learn more about how to use it in our daily lives. Sometimes we find that it can be better for us to learn a method or process because it takes less time in order for us to complete the task at hand. Everywhere in this world are distractions, and with that being said, many apps want your time and attention so they can get monetization from you using the services and ad revenue. Well, I'm not saying to completely restrict your app usage, but limiting it so you can learn effectively along with the content you want to learn at your disposal. Because many people are on social media posting the highlights and seeing what is new, we lack the awareness to see what is around us, and this affects our ability to learn new things. But oftentimes when we take a break, we let our brains recover from the dopamine from social media, and by doing this we obtain higher focus in our projects. Some alternative ways to learn are finding courses on Skillshare or even learning topics on Brilliant, and these are great, but it's not for everyone. Having a wide range of flexibility of learning means we probably wouldn't learn it as fast as it were on traditional schooling, but the benefit of learning on our own with these courses is that the effectiveness of what we learn will go up, making us value the information that we are learning to our own best interest. Have you ever had a strong desire because you felt so inspired to do something outrageous and outgoing and had motivation to learn but couldn't? Sometimes it may be hard for us to engage in building or even creating a new project because we don't fully know what could happen. This halts our own ability to trust ourselves and slows our growth with learning the topics that shock us. But there are two ways that could happen. We can quit, or we feel more motivated to learn because we ironically don't know what could happen, leaving us more fulfilled with finding trust in ourselves. When we keep learning more about the topic that inspires us, we unlock the world of community and collaboration through becoming better at the things that we are learning. Engaging with people who share your interests encourages us to overcome the doubts and make better quality projects. By being in a community, we can learn off each other and gain ideas that we never thought of. And this is crucial because when we are only learning by ourselves, we don't have this ability, and it's harder for us to think of every single possibility of what could happen. Don't you ever find it easier to learn when you have the ideas and people to guide you? Understanding what you learn is difficult for your brain to process because our brains only process a select fraction of the information we receive, because everything requires energy. And as people, we have to take the energy in order for us to understand whatever we want to learn. And this could be learning to make videos, learning to track markets, learning a new language, and learning to become a better communicator with people. This is important to note because we have to be in the right headspace in order for us to receive the content that we deem as necessary for our brains to process. When we focus on the ability to learn a new thing, we rely on the prefrontal cortex to properly organize the information we learned, and along with the hippocampus turns short-term information into establishing into a long-term memory. So the more we all repeat the information, the more relevant it will be in our heads for. It's kind of like hearing that tune in your head that you can't figure out the name of, but we all recognize the type of tune that is playing. Now, everyone wants to hear the technicality of learning how to properly diagnose information, but I just want everyone to know a little bit about what your brain does when you're actively focusing on learning. I know this video is a little bit long, but here's a recap if you probably skipped a little or even a lot of a video. The traditional education system is a great system for people who favor discipline and get things done. But what it lacks is ideas that favor thinking outside the box. The real world favors thinking outside the box and ideas that benefit the needs of others. Our brains only have a select amount of energy, and with this, we can only understand some bits of information at a time. In order to learn new things, we have to develop the mindset to allow information to flow easily into our noggins. We can learn many types of things on Skillshare or even Brilliant. Learning with people is the best way we could develop new ideas and ways to solve new problems. I hope the video made you learn a bit more about how people learn new things and how the brain processes the information. If you guys did like the video, then smash the thumbs up button, comment, and share so the YouTube algorithm favors this to more people. Hope you have a wonderful day.